This is Memoirs of a Fitness Trainer podcast. We are your hosts, Ryan Tullis and Tyler Johnson. With over 20 years working with clients and a lifetime of personal experience in athletics between the two of us, we're here to talk about the meat and potatoes of the fitness industry. Join us every week as we interview clients and fitness professionals alike and teach you the tips to succeed in your own athletics journey.
You can find us every Friday for 1-hour episodes on Spotify and Apple. In our first year alone, we've covered topics that is applicable for the beginner all the way to the gym rat for information they can take home and use.
If you're a coach yourself or a gym goer and you're looking to learn more about how you can elevate yourself in your journey, give us a follow and comment down below what you'd like to see in future episodes. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. Can't wait to see you again.
Well, hello there, friends. Welcome to the episode. Today, we're getting into part 3, maybe 4, numbers are hard, of the what to do in 6 months if you are failing as a personal trainer to ramp or get yourself up to that 10K margin, which as personal trainers, y'all know that 6 months or 10K mark is pretty much everything. I'm joined by Tyler. We're going to go ahead and hop on in, as we always have, and go from there. But Tyler, how the hell are you, bud?
It's me hopping in. You see that? It's like a little jump and swivel in the seat. Wow.
You know, when like they edit these, like it shows us both side by side. So you've always been in the shot. It never changed.
Okay. Bummer. Oh, so the things that I do, they're watching that too?
Oh, yeah.
That is a good thing to know. I forgot that. Okay.
You should really watch our episodes after they air. Just going to throw that out there. Maybe. Just maybe. Good idea.
I watched a few to watch like mannerisms to make sure I wasn't like doing so much with my hands too much out here. It's just so fun. Let's see. How the heck am I? Things are going great. I quit one of my jobs, which I think that was on the last episode, which was F45. Not to slam them. They're great industry, great people. Just wasn't working for my time as far as like investing my time into that versus what I needed to as an outcome. So
yeah, you're kind of past that point in your career for going in, working in some small studio and, you know, putting together a class. Like you're a couple steps beyond that at this point, I feel like.
If you remember my purpose for doing it, though, and I even told like you and Aaron this when you guys were like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. My purpose was to get a lot of repetitions and to get my pace back to where it was prior when I left training. So, I mean, as far as like just a quick way to ramp, it gets you a lot of touches. It's no stress environment. You're literally running people through workouts and you're getting a lot of movements that maybe you have forgotten or styles to kind of adapt into your training program.
No, I get it. Sometimes taking we'll say another lap through can be very beneficial to teach yourself new things.
Wow.
But let's go ahead and move on into the episode. So in previous episodes, if you guys haven't taken a look, I highly recommend you go ahead and circle on back. But we've already talked about how to go through a perfect session on how to get a client. How that you set a goal, how we go through the beginning, the introduction, as well as how to go through an introductory session out on the floor where you're actually showing a client how to work out. Now, we're going to land this ship because you've already given the great experience. The Ritz-Carlton, you've done the things. But now you actually got to get them to sign on the dotted line because, we don't do this stuff for free. Well, how do we do that? Tyler, you've been absolutely crushing it at the box gym that you work at right now. I want to hear from you. What does that end part kind of look like? Or, what are your thoughts? Tell me your woes, sir.
I heard somebody recently say, you don't always learn from your success. You learn from your failures. So your success is kind of like it's given. It's a given. Like it's a good celebration. It kind of goes to this factor, but you remember your fails a lot more. And I can tell you some of the biggest fails I would have is when I'm looking for them to kind of transition is not leaving enough time to talk about the finance behind the personal training at the end of the assessment, is to be so involved with conversation and you build a vision or a map, you connect with this person, and then you realize, oh, I've got 5 minutes till my next client. Hey, I'll call you back. So
you're talking about time pacing, making sure that you're leaving enough time at the end to articulate and actually have a proper conversation that's not, hey, we were just hanging out for 55 minutes. You want to train together? No? All right, I got to go to my next one. Sorry.
Right. So the first
Yeah.
10, and the last 10. I mean, those what really matter. That you show up with your game face on, high energy, you're with a great attitude, you're presentable, because that first image that they get of you is what they're going to remember. So how you show up that day in that moment, whether you're coming out of training 5 clients and this is the last person of the day and you're completely wasted, right? And you just need to just go and take a nap on a couch. If you're that fatigued, you're still just going to go muscle it up, splash some water on your face, walk into there and high energy. Hey, what's going on? So in that first minutes, that first 10 to decide if there's somebody who will be somebody that's interested in perching, which comes with repetitions, but I would say time is definitely a factor. Like, have you ever found yourself getting caught up towards the end of a speech or end of a talk and you're just like, oh shit, I didn't sell them?
Yeah. And I'll sales 101. I'll never use the word sale or sell. When it comes to anything, it's always I'm going to connect them to something. I'm going to begin their program, but I'm always going to try to avoid those more salesy kind of words because usually
Yeah.
there's a negative connotation when you're talking to somebody. But you and me, I got you. It's me just going on a tangent.
No, I get it.
No reason.
I don't do that either. I just as soon as this, like, it doesn't matter what moment, but as soon as I hear this, it's usually a phrase that comes along where it's like, so how would I go about purchasing sessions? Or so when would we train? Or what hours do you have available? That is them showing that you've already sold yourself.
Yep. Those
And
are buying questions.
yeah, those are buying questions. When somebody switches to a buying mode, that's when you need to change hats where you go off, okay, I've sold myself. Now we're getting into the sale. And that's where the conversions come from. So, what are some of your best tactics for converting those last minutes in a assessment?
Oh, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head. That build up, if I do my job right, I'm kind of in a mad dash from the moment I meet someone to the very end of the session where I'm trying to get them to ask me to train with me. I'm trying to get them to ask, again, like we were talking about before, how much do you cost? What would training look like for you? Do you have time in your schedule? Like things that are them very obviously probing. That's strategy 1, 2, 3, and 4 is just I want them to ask me about it. That way I don't have to actually sell them anything.
Yeah.
But perfect world that would happen every time. This is not that world, and sometimes you actually have to codify yourself and convince people to want to work with you.
Okay. Let's talk
I'll-
about those people. What is a way that you convince somebody in that realm? Let's say you notice the time, you've got 15 minutes left. This person hasn't really asked leading questions, and maybe there's somebody that could be somebody who walks away.
I'll straight ask them, what can I help you with? It's like, hey, we had a great session today. We went through this. I showed you this. This is what I saw. This is what I recommended. But how can I help you? Like, is there anything that I can help you with? And I'll try to kind of get them to give more information because obviously they're maybe not as interested in training or this isn't something they want. But when I get to that back end, I'm just going to try to get them to give me the thing that they're looking for. That thing that had I known to cover during the session, would have led them to that buying question that we're going after before. If that doesn't work, well, I got to be honest with you. At this point in my career, I kind of just, hey, let me give you a great experience, and let's walk away as friends with a firm handshake. And I'll try to create some form of. Honestly, I'm trying to turn that guy into a pal. Like I want that to be my buddy because he'll train with me later if he needs something. But I don't really fight for the sale so much anymore. I mean, how about you?
Well, one thing you have to make sure is that they know how to buy, what the process is. So at least at the very minimum, that person is leaving with the knowledge of the training and how they can purchase it. If somebody's like, oh, I'll have to think about this, but I don't really know. My schedule's really busy. I've got a trip coming up soon. And it's just kind of like they're just deflecting. I'm like, all right, well, if it ever comes on your mind, let me show you how it's done. and I show them. Well, through our Bay Club is where you purchase you purchase the sessions through the app on the phone. So that's how they purchase there. If it's my own personal business, I at least lead them to the website, or I leave them with a card or or my email, and I make sure that I follow up with that. That's the other part. Follow-ups. So when somebody does leave your field of vision, is what I like to do is I ask Siri, I say, hey Siri, follow up with this person, or set a reminder in 1 week, and I say their name. So that way I get a notification on my phone. It's out of my head. It's done. It's there. Because if you walk away from that being like, oh, that was great, I'll put a reminder to do it. It's not going to get done. Do it right then and there. Take the 5 seconds. Ask Siri, put it in your Google Calendar, whatever your method is, and just have it done.
I like that. That follow up, that was my bread and butter when I was in box gyms. Was to always have a running list of people to go ahead and cycle back through. It's honestly a big part of why I've never been hard sell at the end of a session, or if someone doesn't ask about training or is interested, any of that stuff. Yeah, I'm not that worried about it because I know I'm going to have 4 or 5 more touch points with this person. It might be a text message, might be me sending them an article that I wrote, or hey, here's this new ebook that we just made. It's here. It's for free. It's yours. And just continually creating that relationship, and it might lead to absolutely nothing. That's fine.
Yeah.
But dude, that follow up, I really do think a lot of trainers leave a lot of money on the table just because we don't want to like call someone or text someone that told us no.
Dude, I've done it with people like months back. And what I do is I have an entire folder of all the assessment sheets with people, and I'll have written notes on them. And I'll look up their name. I'll look up a photo of them if I forgot what they look like. And I'll simply call them and be like, hey, this is the trainer you met with a while ago. I just want to know how your progress is going. Did you ever get that knee fixed? How's your shoulder still feeling? And it's just like finding that niche, finding the issue. Like, oh, I've been in the gym for a while. It's just, I thought I'd get better, but it hasn't. Like, why don't you come back in? Let me spend 30 minutes. Let me show you what I can do for it. And we can move from there. I'll give them another 30 minutes. And it makes it just that more friendly, and it's appealing. And I can actually give them more of a base of like what working with me would look like. And if I know what I'll do is they're going to feel better when they walk out of that. And by the end of that session, I'm getting a new client.
Hey, Tyler, want to close your that door that's there? Much that like
so much air. It's so refreshing, though. It's so nice. Okay, fine. Is it because of the helicopter, the plane, or whatever that just flew by?
I have no idea what's going on out there. I think people are knife fighting. I'm assuming 2 hobos.
It's actually the new cat. The new cat is like out there just like getting it in with the other cats. Have you seen my new kitty?
No. But all right, so as Tyler's going to close that door, because I'm obsessive compulsive as hell.
Yeah.
But dude, I think that follow up and just making sure that you're having that continued touch, I think that's a lot of the magic that people are looking for from like creating like the perfect session. Like obviously we're fans of having structure. I mean, we just this is our 3rd episode on creating a structure for an introductory session, right? Like obviously we care about it. But that follow up, stop.
That's James. He's so cute.
That follow
angry.
Tyler, I'm gonna strangle you, my man. That follow up is huge, and I think a very essential part of how trainers can grow their business and how they create that ongoing success. And it honestly, it takes a little bit of the fear or the negative connotation around not closing a session. Like you don't feel bad. You're not walking out of it feeling rejected, beat down. It's, oh, I have another person that I can add to my ongoing list of people that I keep cycling through, just reaching out. How you doing? How things going? How's your knee? Did you ever get it fixed? No. Well, why don't you come on in? Let me help you on out. And I've always found that keeping a big roster of people that I might work with later has been so successful in growing a business. Dude, that's so cool.
On people I don't see myself working with, I just throw those assessment sheets out. Like I'm just like, it's either somebody I just like I don't want to work with them. They just seem like their interests don't really match mine. I'm just like, no, I'm good. and I'll just pass that person off, or I'll just recommend them to another trainer. I'm just like, hey, you could try with this person. I just didn't see it as a connection. And if I sell them on training, I just already kind of see what the future would come out to be, and that's a passable point. But it happens very rarely.
Yeah, but it'll
Very
happen
rarely.
though. You meet people where it's like, God, this guy's insufferable, or all right, this person has 1,000,001 barriers for entry already.
Yeah.
Okay, like, is this really going to be the person that I want to work with? I mean, what is it? You're the clients that you have to make deals for and work the hardest to sell usually tend to be the ones that give you the biggest headaches, and there's always something that's happening or some customer service thing that's always popping up.
Yeah. Like I had these two women for the longest time that they wanted to set up sessions with me. I wanted to sit them down for an assessment, and they're like, "No, we don't need that. We just want training." And I was like, "Okay." And they wanted to buy
Walk away.
the lowest session package, and they're just like, "We just want to buy this." I'm like, "For both of you?" Like, yeah. I'm like, "I'm not going to do that." And they're like, "Well, your fitness coach or your fitness manager said that it's something you could do." I'm like, "Yeah, could," and I'm not. Like, I'm not going to sell myself. Sure, if you guys want to purchase sessions, you guys can both purchase sessions, and then we can put those on top of each other, and I'll train that way. But I'm not going to do double the work for the same price. I was
No,
just very
that's
firm. Like,
yeah, that's knowing your worth. I get it a lot with people want me to make like meal plans for them. Something that I
mm,
very rarely do, just because it's so time intensive, and the adherence from a
yeah.
client standpoint is horrible. Like, meal
Well,
plans do not work for long term success and weight loss. Just gonna throw that out there.
no, and at this point, I mean, just use ChatGPT. Like, here's what I need. Here's what I have for food. What's the ingredients? Like, what I'm looking to do. How many calories? There you go. There's a meal plan. Just
Yeah, that doesn't fully work that way, but
hmm,
I get what you're saying. If people are looking for something that's not going to work, that gets that feeling, then ChatGPT can be a great tool for it. There's tons of different tools out there that'll create kind of random meal plans for people. It's again not very useful, but
so
back to
I think our summary, right? Our good point is we want to get people leading up to questioning and probing us for our training availability and our prices. That is just the biggest transition. And somebody who skims over that point and just says, "Oh yeah, no, I can look at my schedule for you, but I mean, I really want to talk about you've you've blocked." Is you don't want to block. As soon as somebody brings that up, you switch gears. That is, you are in the saddle. It doesn't matter what you talk about then. You'll have 12 sessions, 24, 36 sessions to talk about your other BS that you wanted to say. You
dude.
end your conversation right then and you dive into
Yep.
that.
How many times have you have you ever? And I'm pretty confident I know the answer to this, but talked yourself out of working with somebody.
Mhm. Talked myself out. Like,
Like where you keep
well,
continuing to try to give value when this person's already
yeah,
like, "Hey, here's my credit card," and you're like, "Yeah, that's cool, but we still have
yeah.
walking lunges, and let me show you how to use this cardio piece of equipment." And the guy's going, "No, I want to work with you already."
It's still an issue till this day where like I still have to like drop down terminology into like layman's terms or like really dumb down my projection of their what I want to do with their body. Like it's still something I practice in routine. But definitely earlier in my career, like at Lifetime, as I try to sell myself so much, and I've learned that the best thing you can do is ask very simple questions and let them talk. Find out what they need. Don't let them skim over a subject. If it's something like, I used to run and I love running. Oh, so you love running. What's holding you back? Like
Yeah,
that.
you ask leading questions and you keep drawing information out. Like people will be like, I want to lose 20 pounds, and I want to lose it forever. What stopped you
Yeah.
in the past? Like, why haven't you? And like people are gonna give you kind of short answers because no one wants to say like, all right, I used to love running. Well, I just stopped. Well, I just kind of don't care that much, and I'm not holding myself accountable, or like no one wants to say that they're bad at something or that they're failing or that they need help.
My biggest
that's
thing that
huge.
what you get is you get somebody who says, "I love running, but my doctor said that I shouldn't run with my knee," or my oh
I hate it.
the and I'm just like, there's people with their have an amputated leg that are literally running marathons. So there's nothing that the human body can't do. The past, it's really about your sheer will. So I don't say that to them, but in my mind, I just go, no, like you could, like you can definitely do it. Like it's just how far you're willing to go.
Yeah. I'll talk to people about this one a lot. It's kind of funny that you bring that up. Where it's an 80-year-old that's never ran before can learn to run a marathon. It's
Hmm?
just how much suck is that 80-year-old willing to go through for how much that's worth it to them. Now, that goal might not be worth it for the level of suck they have to go through. Like if you're someone with arthritis in your knees and things are really rough, you know what? How badly do you really want to run that marathon? Like really? Like let's really talk about it here. Or all right, you want to lose all this weight. All right, you've got 4 kids at home and you're a single parent working 2 jobs. Like, all right, yeah, you can lose weight, but is it going to be worth it to you? Like, is what weight loss equals worth the level of suck it's going to take to get there with your current situation?
Yeah,
It might not
and
be.
some people have the mindset that they can overcome that,
Yeah.
and some people don't. I'd say definitely leaning. It's 90% mostly don't. It's because
Oh, yeah.
we think we want it, but then once we start into action, it's like I had a guy come on. He actually ended up having me train his son now. But originally, he came to me. He's like, "I just want to know what I can do in the gym." He's like, "I just want like a routine." The simple. I just want a routine. I love
Everyone wants a
that.
routine. I'm like, you have no idea what a routine is. You have no idea what a program is. Like, you're walking into this pie in the sky dreaming. It's like, oh my God.
He just bought his second package, and originally he just wanted to go through 4 sessions and get a routine. Yeah, and his son's training with me now, and they're looking to have their son go for 2 days. So, uh, the routine. Ooh, man. When somebody says that, I love taking and be like, "Oh, you want a routine? Oh, perfect. Let's go out on the floor and maybe do a couple of assessments." It's like that's kind of like my transitional moment when somebody's like leading on and asking more questions. They're like, "Oh, I really just came to you because I just wanted to set up a routine." Oh, okay. What do you see for the routine? Oh, I just want to use machines. I want to do this. Okay, awesome. Well, you said something earlier about your hip. Why don't we go do a couple of sets? Oh, wow, you really can't squat. Like, oh, wow, this is very limiting. Oh, wow, and it's just really pointing that out. And they're like, wow, I didn't even know that. It's just their eyes opened up. But
Well, you start
okay,
actually educating people because they have this preconceived idea of what they need, which is I need a program. I just need to go work out a couple times a week, and I'm going to, for some reason, start fasting, and I'm going to start, tracking steps. And people create these massive programs for how they're going to get results. God, I love people, but sometimes their idea of what it is they think they need is just, oh my God, it's kind of depressing to be entirely
here's
honest.
here's something. Here's a question for you.
Yeah,
Have you
so
ever sold someone on training that it didn't end up being what they need in the mind as you had your assessment, you built out a plan, you like mapping what would be the best road to success. You get to that first session and you realize that you've totally sold them the wrong thing.
yeah, I absolutely have. And I've gone into it with people where I thought they had disordered eating patterns, and it's just people are like watching what we call food porn. Or Tommy, edit that out for me, my man. But you can't say that one. Food corn with a C algorithm. Um, but where people like watch food videos as they're like dieting down, it's like that's horribly destructive. Or people will like smell food and like do kind of more weird fetishy kind of stuff. Um, and I had a guy who kind of checked all those boxes of like, oh, this person needs significant help with nutrition, and we like halfway through a session, like fixed all of them. And he's like, yeah, no, I totally get it. I'm going to stop doing that. And then a week later, he's not doing it still. It's like, oh, I thought you needed significantly more help than you did. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Like, my bad. Let's try to get you help somewhere else. Like, let me see how I can help you. But I guess the outside of like the obviously satirical part of that, but is you just pivot to the next thing. If you start working with someone who needed cardiovascular help and turns out they don't really need it, all right, how else can I? Let's move to the next. You want mobility? Great. I'm supposed to do cardio with you, but yeah, let's move to mobility. So I guess the answer is I move on to the next thing because there's always something to work on, and it doesn't matter how in shape you are or X, Y, and Z. There's always the next thing. That or I'd give them a refund because I suck at what I do, and it's kind of that whole thing is man, I messed up.
Yeah.
Damn.
Usually it has come when I've ever had to give a refund. It comes from somebody who wasn't honest in their first time meeting with me. Either
No.
honest with their intent, honest with themselves. Like maybe it was like they just came off of like a bad breakup and they thought they'd have all the energy. Then they find like, oh my god, like this is way more than I can handle. Or there's something that they've left out that usually comes up in that first session, and it's always like a, hey, I'm sorry, I thought I could work this into my schedule, but it's turning out that I'm looking forward and it's just not going to work out. And there's always a backing to that where it's just like, oh, okay, what was it in your schedule that you didn't see? Like, was it, a new job? Or then the truth will come out. Like, I just spent a lot of money right now and I didn't realize how much I really spent until I got the bill. And it's like, you checked yes, you gave me your card, we went through the payment, you knew what you were getting. Where is your hesitancy? Because you don't see this as a success. Do you not believe in your training? Do you not believe in me? Where and I that's where I'll kind of I will ask questions and I'll make it not a hard sale, but a hard stay. Like I don't let people just walk out unless it's just, oh my god, this person was just, they didn't listen to the word I said. They were very fighting me on every movement. Like this guy that I had recently, I had this old dude who just fought me on everything we did. And I got a text from him saying, I don't even think day clubs for me. I want a refund. I'm just like, yeah, sure. Let me get you to my manager. I was like, I'm not going to fight you on that. Like, you're obviously not ready and you're not in the right mindset. Like,
Yeah.
we,
I would agree with you on that. That sometimes you do, people will say things and they don't realize what it means. But I think more than that, it's the reality of training sets in. That, oh, you're sore. Well, yeah, you're going to be probably sore for the next few months. Like that's going to be your world, my man. Oh, you're tired. Well, yeah, you're losing weight. As your body loses weight, it tries to conserve energy and it makes you more tired. It's not fun. Oh, you lost 5 pounds and you don't have abs yet. Yeah, because you're gonna it's gonna take 30 pounds for you to see the thing you want. So like I normally find when people are giving a lot of kickback and they want to get out of training, 9 times out of 10 it's just they thought it was going to be a walk in the park or it was going to be a movie montage, right? Like you put on the favorite soundtrack and you put your hoodie up and you go into Siberia to train to fight some like 6'8" Russian or something, or maybe that's the plot to Rocky IV. Not sure, but it's not that. And I think when the reality, the pain, the discomfort of stressing your body on repeat sets in, people get kind of squeamish and they start coming in going, yeah, so I spent this money and I just didn't see it coming. And yeah, you know how it is. No, I don't. I run my budget. You should do that as an adult. I don't think it's that. You don't do that when it comes to your mortgage. You don't do that when it comes to your other bills. So.
right. Yeah. Oh my
that.
God. If like when like a tenant came to me and was like, hey, I just really didn't realize how much it was going to be. It's like, you live here.
Sucks.
You signed, you moved in. Like, what do you mean you didn't? That's the same type of treatment I give to somebody who like will be like regretful. And it's that there's a word for it when somebody regrets pain for something. It's like I forget what
Oh,
it's called. You know what I'm talking about? There's a
I
word.
do know what you're talking about.
Ugh,
Buyer's remorse.
buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
It's like they are all excited. They get home, they sit down for a second, and they go, "What the hell did I just do? I'm gonna actually have to show up and do work. I don't think I want to do that." And it's usually like either that night or the next morning because they wake up with a whole different attitude than is sparked in that day. And it's Monday morning, and it's like, I did this on Thursday, and oh my God, now this is going into the week. They look at their schedule, all the stress starts leading in, what these workouts are going to hurt. Like, I'm worried. So, yeah, that's that buyer's remorse after the first sessions. But
Doesn't
what?
bother me so much. Like when someone's like has buyer remorse, like hey, on Thursday, they sign up with me to train for 3 times a week. That's awesome. Come Friday, well, actually, all right, totally, I get it. You want to talk it out and see if like maybe we can figure something out, or you just don't want to do it. Oh, okay, I get it, totally. I've been there. Yeah, I've signed up for things before, and day after been like, I actually don't want to do this anymore. But
Mm,
yeah,
I
that one doesn't bother me that much.
yeah, this see, I'm on the so opposite side on the psychology factor. I know the hesitancy and I know the worry, and I can get the nervousness on like the afterwards, and it's scary. And I definitely put it in the perspective like, hey, like if you back out of this commitment, if you're actually like struggling for money and this was a bad purchase, I could understand. Like,
Yeah,
oh
get
my
it.
God, like I can't pay my bills. Something's really wrong. I could understand. But if this commitment is something you're ready to walk away from, you know, I can accept it, right? It's my schedule will fill, I'll find a new client, whatever it is. But if you skip this commitment today, it's not going to come back for a long time. And all the goals that we talked about on that first meeting and all those dreams you had, I know that it's a different day, it's a new day. But if you don't act now, then you're not going to have the discipline to do it again later. And when you do, it's going to be a lot worse.
Yeah, that's
So,
actually really cool that you brought that up. When people fall off their diet or their attempt, it's kind of a weird quasi place that people find themselves where they almost sprint back to where they were. And it's this kind of interesting thing where someone will lose 10 pounds. You would think, in theory, if someone fell off, yeah, maybe they put on 4 or 5 of it back on, but you would stay underneath where you initially started. You'll see people blow past their, say, 10 pounds that they lost and put on 12, 13, 14 pounds on the back end from it. And it might take them the better part of a full year to make another serious attempt. And now they're in a worse place than they were before.
yeah,
Oh, man.
yeah. I mean, the discipline factor, I can't name the last time I went 1 week without working out. I can name weeks where I've maybe worked out once or twice, but I can't name the last time that I really went a full week without fitness. And people wonder, like, oh, your genetics, like you're young, and I get all these comments where it's like,
Can't stand them.
there's this one dude who made a comment. He's like, "Oh, I'm 37, man. Like, you don't know. I'm like, I'm 30 years old, and I can tell you right now, you give me 7 more years, I'm gonna be way past where I'm at. Like, there's no excuse. And like,
Dude.
the age thing is how. So the age. So that's another thing that you'll get in these assessments. Like, when somebody tells me their age, it irks me. Somebody be like, "Oh, well, I'm 63 years old," and it's like they think that's a factor that has a standpoint that will diminish their level of progress that they can get. And realistically, like I had a woman who was 72 years old, and she got to the point where she was deadlifting 95 pounds. She didn't know a thing about fitness, and she did that in 4 months because she freaking worked hard. She showed up on the days that I wasn't with her. She followed her program, and she did it. Like
Yeah.
that's the person I had to kick off my schedule off twice a week to once a week because I'm like, you're graduated. I want you to go do this workout that we do on your own. Come back to me. We can add it to 2 days again if you need more form correction, but like you got it. But so the age, like how often do you get that?
All the time. Always, always, always. What is it? The majority of our new clients are typically in the like 18 to 45-ish range, but the vast majority of our referrals are kind of over like 53 is like I think like like the bottom end of our range up to like upper 70s.
Hmm.
So we end up working with a lot of we'll say pre-geriatric clients,
Yeah.
and that's the biggest kickback we get is I'm this age, I don't think I can do this, and I got to be honest with you, at this point, 14 and a half years of doing this, I just tell people, hey, hold my beer, give me a couple months, I'm gonna make you eat your words. And then 2 months
Yeah.
later, they're picking up, a couple 100 pounds or 100 pounds or what have you, and they're down in weight and they feel great. And it's like they think you've parted the Red Sea. And it's like, no, this is just standard training. This is not special. I'm not doing anything unique. No cutting edge. It's just progressive overload and proper human mechanics applied X for time. That's it. Yeah.
It's really it. I mean, just the more consistent, the more movement that you can get, the better you're going to be. And people, I think it's because someone in some part of their life had told them, and it's a lot of people will say this out loud. It's just like, oh, well, you'll know when you get to my age. It's like,
Oh,
and my response every single time is like, no, I won't. Like
yeah.
I could never allow myself to get there. I have the mental framing that if my fitness goes down, my mental space goes down, everything goes down. And by the time I'm 50 years old, I'm gonna have way more progress and perfection to my technique. I still plan
Oh,
on being able to box jump 4 feet in the air at 60 years old. Like I don't
dude.
plan that I'm gonna go down. Like if anything, I'm just gonna find new ways to rehab to keep myself where I'm at.
Yeah. You'll shift your goals around different things. Like, for instance, like me hyping on stage, like in my 60s, probably not going to be a thing because I'm just not going to care about that anymore. Not that I can't go that route. And
Right.
yes, all right, let's all be on the same page because I'm sure there's some like 52-year-old flipping his desk right now going, I can't bench the same thing I did when I was 20. Well, all right, yeah, I'm going to give you that. Yeah, you're going to see some performance go down as time goes on. But what we're talking about is perfecting your craft as an athlete and getting better with it, better with rehab, better with how you go with your precision of lifts. Your form gets better. So, and maybe you can't lift the X amount, the 315 you were before, or run the 5 minute mile you could before, but you're still running a pretty damn fast mile and you're still benching pretty damn heavy weight.
We have a
And
trainer. We have a trainer at my gym who I thought was like 48 at the latest. Who he can do a handstand, like literally from the floor. Like he goes from the floor, he goes up into a perfect
oh,
handstand,
those
and
guys are
he's
cool.
just turned 60 years old. And I have him doing the monkey bars, and I challenged him because he was holding on the monkey bars, he was doing pull ups. I was like, hop to the next bar. I was recording him. I was like making a little promo video. I think I showed you this guy.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know." And I showed him. I was like, "You just swing your legs, grab here." He did it, and he was shocked. He's like, "I didn't think I could do that." I'm like, "I knew you could do that based off what I've seen." Like that's my goal is to like continuously take on challenges and be at that age where it's just like there's not the stopping factor of like, "Oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm this old." You're not going to do
I
that because of your age, because you're scared.
I think people get told by. I mean, it's a conversation I have with my dad all the time. It's and pretty much just anyone that's older is, it's I can't do this because of X or like it's everything starts hurting as you age and I get it. Like it's kind of rich coming from like some early 30 something year olds. Like, all right, I understand that there's an element of we're talking about something that we ourselves have yet to experience, but so many clients, just so many people, your life can be better if you just move. But we're kind of going on a little bit of a tangent here with pre-geriatric and geriatric training, which we will definitely have a full episode on at another point, and actually have some, we'll say older athletes on to maybe codify our points a little bit more.
Bring the heat. I'll get Brian.
Yeah,
Brian's the name of the trainer. I'd love to have him on. I'll get him on the schedule.
Dude, I would love to get some of my my older clients on, and some of yours as well, and just kind of have people firsthand speak to how to get from that point. But
Client accusations, I like that.
yeah, but dealing with age is just going to be another part of what you as a trainer are going to go through. You guys are going to get these little feedbacks, and you have some common denominators, some common what we'll say barriers for entry that people are going to put up for you. Age is a big one, and another one is always going to be finance. And that's a big reason why when you go into training, you do want to have a multi-level offer that varies from price point. So what I mean by that is you have your big ticket item, which is, all right, this is the thing that's going to get you the most results. It costs the most. And then you work your way down to, hey, all right, I've got my fourth or fifth option here, lowest price. And yeah, it's still going to get you results. It's going to get you where you need to go. This might take a little while longer. And I think if you guys game these situations enough and start to see, all right, I know the finance thing might come up. I know age might come up. I know injuries might come up. Time is going to be another one. Tyler, what are some of the big reasons why people can't train?
Biggest reasons why is usually because of their job, my open hours not lining up with their schedule.
That'll happen.
So on that side, and I mean that's my biggest objectives at this point is I'm trying to find time to fit more people on my schedule because it's like it's very limited. And
Yeah,
you might
good problems.
yeah, I mean like you might have the package option where you have one or down or down. If I'm taking on a new client, my requirement is minimum twice a week off the bat. I'm like, eventually we can drop down to once a week, but I don't take on new clients that I'm not seeing twice in a week minimum.
Yeah,
And
no, I get that. And you do get to that success threshold where, like, all right, I'm not going to work with someone unless they completely hit all of my, we'll say, all my boxes. But just in general, as far as like when someone says, all right, no, this isn't for me, like, what are the reasons they give you? And other
you
than your schedule and you're an awesome trainer that's fully booked up,
you can you
because the
can
rest of
usually
folks aren't.
right. I mean, you can usually pull some of those feelings out. A lot of them stay really reserved. A lot of it comes from like, oh, I'm already paying so much for the gym now, or I'll have to talk to my husband or wife or significant other, whatever it is. And there's always the objection, and if you can pull it out of them, most of the time I'm unable to do that. To be honest, like I don't. I'll get to that point. I'll be like, all right, so like, what's kind of stopping you? And it'll just be it's the not right time. I'm traveling. I don't know if I'll be here, and I don't know if I'm. The only other one that I'll get is really like I don't know if I'm ready to commit. And when somebody's honest like that, I can
Oh,
overcome
that
that
guy.
objection 9 out of 10 times. Like I don't know if I'm ready to commit. Like I've done this twice now, where I've actually taken somebody who's just like I don't know if I'm ready to commit. I mean, it's a heavy ticket price. I'm like it is like what is it worth to you? Oh, it's everything. It's a lot right now. And I've done this twice where I've just said, you know what? I'll cover you. The first 2 weeks, we're gonna work. Don't worry about paying me. I'm gonna use my admin hours. I'm just gonna train you. And it's literally I've only done it twice, and it's only with very particular people when I feel it from them. And by the first session, like I've planned these 2 weeks, it's already gonna be free. They feel obligated to purchase and buy. They're like, I thank you so much for taking this time. I'm just gonna purchase. I'm just gonna buy. Like, and I mean, there's literally hasn't been a time out of those two experiences where after the first session, they're not already in a mindset like, okay, this person's really just here to help me. So there might have been an underlying factor of like nervousness or not wanting to spend money or trust issues, but when you are fully in to help somebody and they can realize that you're not just trying to grab their money and run, like that's where you get that trust. So how here's something for you. How important is trust and honesty to a
Everything.
client?
Everything. Yeah, that is literally everything. Like I really want to emphasize that because that's a really good point to make. Your clients need to trust you, and they do not know you. They know nothing about you. They might know that you've got big biceps that they think are pretty cool, which that's that'll qualify yourself as a person who knows what you're doing. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can qualify yourself to your clients, like having a big book of business or of results is another way to qualify yourself. But you've got to build that trust with your people. And quite frankly, when you're first starting out, you're not going to build it in an hour. You're not good enough. You don't know how to be personable enough. You don't know how to do interviewing and leading questions to get people to certain points in conversations. But that's a very good point to make. And I got to say, it's everything. And when you first start out, don't expect to be good at getting it. So operate yourself to need more time.
Let's talk about the new person who doesn't have these techniques. What are a couple easy ways or techniques that you could display openness or honesty to somebody who's freshly there just for an assessment, they know nothing about you? What's a couple things you could do?
Quite frankly, relate. What are you into? What do you do? Oh, you like going dirt biking? Me too. Or, you try to find some element of common ground. And that's sales 101 no matter what you do, is you kind of want to relate to your people. It's like, oh, you like movies? I'm a cinephile too. Like, this is great. Let's talk about it. Finding something you can relate on can be huge. The other part is just, quite frankly, share your burdens, share your trials that you have to overcome. So, big one for me, this isn't like new, but I was picked on and pretty nastily bullied when I was a kid. And one of the big things was for being overweight. And, of course, now I'm a trainer and I help people lose weight. It's like, how'd you get here? But I'll share that with people. And a lot of times just letting your guard down that, hey, I struggled with weight loss too. It was hard. I figured out how to overcome it. And sharing that vulnerability a lot of times can be huge, or talking about how someone's, talking to you like being hurt. Well, I partially tore my labrum and that ended my powerlifting career. I'll talk to them about that and how crippling it was to my identity, because I was no longer this thing that I thought I was for so long. And it's like, oh yeah, this person's now feeling fragile and vulnerable. And just like sharing a bit of yourself and kind of letting the armor down a lot of times will get you significant amounts of trust from someone who maybe you've known for 5 minutes. It's kind of wild.
Right.
I mean, how about you?
What's the definition of apathy?
Apathy?
Apathy, not empathy. Apathy.
Apathy is to, I'm pretty sure, a negative connotation.
Okay. Apathy is the lack of interest or emotion. So
yeah.
So when we see that like lack of interest or emotion, right? So the portions of apathy, when we think about the negative connotations of an experience, something that's negative, you go into a clothing store, right? And I love your sense of vulnerability in that action, or impersonalness. Like you go to a In-N-Out Burgers stand, right? And you just order from somebody. What are they doing? They are not making eye contact. Hi, welcome. How are you doing? Very basic. They're not showing signs of interest. So attention. So we have what you said, vulnerability, and we have your attention. Showing attention is huge to making that connection, to make a strong connection. Full eye contact, not having your phone near you, like have it in your pocket, or silenced, not taking a phone call, not excusing yourself from the room, not having your friend in the background making silly faces or being in an area of distracting, allowing vulnerability and allowing yourself to connect through your attention. Because if not, you'll seem very apathetic, where it's just you're not involved with them. You're not making an emotional connection. You're distracted. So
Dude, that's huge. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think that ties back into what we've said in the previous episodes, that professionalism and being engaged in the session is so huge. And quite frankly, looking like you're paying attention, like looking like you're engaged. Because even though you might be taking notes on your phone and you're so in,
Oh,
yeah, that person just thinks
don't
you're
take notes
texting.
on your phone. Don't take
No,
notes on your phone.
don't use your phone. Like
Even if it's a blank
I
sheet of
won't.
paper.
That's why you have a tablet, which is just like a large phone that
It
somehow looks
looks
significantly
better.
more important, even though it's like, you don't know what I'm doing on here. You have no idea. I can be on
Right.
Instagram.
I'm drawing penises. I don't. It doesn't matter. Like as long as it looks better than you sitting here like this. Yeah.
Dude,
No.
you can be playing
Oh.
Tetris on your tablet, and I swear to God, you're going to look 10 times more professional than whatever you're doing on your phone, which do not play Tetris while you're interviewing clients and working with people. Training requires significantly more focus than you can do and play Tetris at the same time. But
All right.
yeah,
So the outside of that is empathy is looking for the connection. So an emotional connection. So like as you said already, is to be attentive to what they're saying and make some emotional connection. So whether through a history or background. My last part that I try to do is break the physical barrier. So what I mean by that
I don't know
is
about putting hands on, right?
putting hands on.
Yeah.
Is if people want to be very reserved, they're not used to somebody, a stranger touching them, right? And handshakes are one thing, but to break that physical barrier, to actually take them on the fitness floor and be able to, depending on how you act as a trainer, maybe ask, do I have your permission to touch you? I don't.
Always ask. You'll do 20 of them and no one will care. The 21st person will
Yeah.
care so much.
Yeah, I'm
Ask.
for it's pretty fast with it. I just go, "Hey, is it all right if I just okay?"
Yep.
And it's just really simple if it's like a stranger. Usually when it's like a guy and like something like that, I'd be like, "Hey, I'm just gonna move your hip right here," and it's the oh yeah, go for it. It's kind of like that with a male to a woman. Always like, hey, I display like, hey, I'm a very physical trainer. Like, I'm gonna need to actually grab and shift parts of your body. Are you okay with me doing that? Yeah, no, like how else would I learn form? It's like, okay, well, just want to make sure.
Yeah, like 9 out of 10, they're going to be so cool with it. And they're actually going to, that's going to aid itself towards building professionalism. Is like, no, I'm a professional. This is what I do. Is it all right if I put my hands on you? We have a little bit of physical contact as I move you around to get you in position. You build professionalism, you build process. This is what I do. This isn't something I do. This is what I do. Oh, I love that.
Usually by that time when I could break that physical barrier, it moves me from being just a stranger into someone that's working with them, like a doctor, a physical therapist, somebody with a licensed practitioner. Like I'm no
Yep.
longer just a trainer. Like usually by the time I get to that realm, like actually, oh shit, this guy knows the body. Like it's so we have those three parts, right? Just for like the simplest type of way of trying to get somebody to just connect on an emotional level, we have, you know, your first point was the sense of vulnerability. Vulnerability will lead to emotion, so it's like the opposite of apathy, right? Where we lead into the idea of attention, is to give them attention, and lastly is breaking that physical barrier. If somebody just follows those three little guidelines in their ability to work with somebody, even if you're new and you're new to training, you've at least done a NASM or you've done training or you worked out with a friend or you know how to work on yourself. Like breaking that physical barrier can just be like simple enough as just slightly just touching the tops of the shoulder, or while you're doing an assessment, be like, hey, is it all right if I just move your feet and just grab the shoes and just move their feet into a different position? Just even a small touch where you've broken that physical barrier. I've seen it just go wonders. Anybody who I haven't broken that physical barrier with, they stay reserved, and I'm not somebody who's working with them yet. I'm somebody that's just talked with them.
You're a salesman. Yeah. When you're not touching somebody, you're not breaking that, you're not having emotion, you're just somebody who's selling them on something and creating that expertise that, as you said before, like a doctor or a physical therapist, if how you codify yourself and present yourself and all these little things that you do that make you a professional versus just some dude in the gym who's, oh yeah, again, you might have big biceps and they like that, but yeah, that's unfortunately not quite enough to build a big roster of clientele. Like you'll get one or two guys here and there just off of having that, or being able to run really fast, or being able to, quite frankly, be the smartest guy in the room, like how Tyler, quite frankly, is. If you don't have those other things, those tools or those strengths that you have will only take you so far. Yeah, I like it.
A lot of it comes
All
to
right.
relation. But let's come back to our original topic. Let's kind of put a bow tie on this.
Love it.
I just saw one little pass point, which is, when you're closing the sale, you've had the client success, you have somebody who's bought sessions. The first step after that is to schedule those sessions out.
Read my mind.
All of them. Schedule the whole package. Get the full month in advance laid out, and then highlight, let them know their re-sign date, because this is not an end to the cycle. Unless, they're just literally looking for, I'm just trying to ramp. I got, 4 weeks. I can only buy, one package. That's all I want to go for. Usually by the end of it, they're already wanting to buy more. But schedule out your sessions. Do not wait to be like, okay, perfect. You bought sessions. Great. I'll text you later. We can work out a schedule.
Done that. Doesn't work.
It ends up with just like, oh, well, Wednesday wasn't going to work. Oh, this, well, then, and then they buy, and you're just like, I don't have time to fit them into those hours. What have I done? Now I have to move my whole schedule to accommodate this person.
Yeah. 2-3 weeks goes by. You've trained them once. This isn't a part of their life. The emotions died down, and yeah, they're probably going to come back for their sessions. Like they're not going to maintain your client for sure.
You should have already mentioned parts of your schedule, the available hours you have open, and they should have already been able, like, oh, I can make that work. And they should have already given, like, at least some detail to that they know what your schedule looks like and the expectations of when you can work with them prior to buying. But if it's an emergency situation and you didn't talk about those and you've just walked them through it and they've signed and they've already slid their credit card and now you're going backtracking, well, at least get something on the schedule. Even it's like, hey, next week I'm only going to be able to meet once. I know I said we're going to meet 3, but I'm going to send you. We're going to work hard on that day, and I'm going to give you a couple workouts to do. You're just going to do the same thing over. At least you give them something.
Get them booked. Get them in the schedule. Do not let that person walk out of there without scheduling. And I know if like a client's watching this, they're going to think like, holy crap, that's salesy. But if you leave it open-ended like that, you're going to defeat your entire purpose, which is to create accountability, create consistency and structure so they can, one, do your workout program, very important, but people come to us for accountability. It's huge. And if you're not able to consistently hold them accountable, hey, show up for these workouts, which you have to be there for that, so that's really important, you defeat your entire purpose as a trainer. Dude, I love that.
Yeah, no, that was the last thing in my head when it came to them. Like, what happens in that post sale? It's like you have to get that done.
I'll give you a little bit of a kickback there, though. We talked about before, I don't like packages. Never been a fan. People buying multiple months of training at once. Because you touched on it, because you have to have a conversation about re-signs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that. I've never liked doing re-signs. It's just something about it I don't see working very well. And that just might be myself and the trainers I've worked with, mind you. I'm not going to say this is every trainer. But I would say on large, when you have a re-sign date, it puts in their head that this ends at some point. That there is a finishing part of this training. And I've always been a fan of, all right, so we're going to be training together twice a week. It's going to cost this. And what we're going to do is this is going to reoccur every month. And we're going to have you locked in my schedule so I can build a program for you. And first month, anything happens and you want to cancel, that's fine. No harm, no foul. But after that, we do a 30-day cancellation. And this is just because I have to run a program with you. I have to be doing work this month for next month. That is how consistent programming is done and is a very important part for your ongoing success.
Trust me.
They don't want to do that.
I would have what I would to label as the kabatsu method, which is one of my clients. He's a head chef in a sushi restaurant, which we'll need to go to. It's in San Francisco. He makes the best sushi. But the plates come out, when I'm sitting there with the chef. The plates come out with 2 pieces of sushi at a time, and it's just the plates will keep coming until you wave your hand to stop, which is the
Oh,
same idea of like your training, right? It'll just continue until you wave the hand and say stop. Is to have it as a re-signing continuous. Be like, hey, we have, this will be up until this date, and just having them sign something, the automatic renewal would just be what I have it going. Where I've never had that conversation like, oh, I'm thinking about stopping. How many sessions do I have left? That's when I would love to have that conversation. Unfortunately, with my gym, it's like they have the 12 sessions. I have to keep track. Let them know, hey, you got 2 more. Our re-sign date would be next week. Would you like to purchase now or next week? And it's like, then it's, I'm putting in the framing where it's the either A or B, which is continuing.
yeah.
versus
It's all the
versus
same.
like, hey, you're ending next week. Are we still going? Don't do that. Like, hey, we're ending. This is our last session. I need you to repurchase before I can schedule next week's. Something that's continuing. If you came to the last one, you didn't prepare, or if you
I like that. It's presumptive. I mean, for me, again, I see such success with this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Well, what if I want to only do 1 month? I don't do that. This is what we're doing. If you want to work with me, if you want training,
Well,
this is what we're doing. Like,
that's where you're setting principles. You're setting like when somebody comes to me and they're just like, I want to do this, and I'll go through the mobility assessment. All right, cool. So for the next 6 months, this is what I have, because it's going to be minimum. Or I'll be like, hey, you want a program? You want to just do a routine? Great. Okay, well, your mobility is nowhere near where it needs to be. So this first 2 months, we're going to be working on just your mobility. Then after that, we're going to have to figure out what's going to look like as far as programming if you succeed. Where it's kind of like there's 2 stages where it's like, hey, I'll get you to what you want, but like you want to work for the next month? Good luck.
yeah, I mean, at that point, I would really rather just, write someone a program, which that's what online coaching is for. But that this is how we do things. I think a lot of times when we come to sales, we're so happy to get sales. And again, like this isn't something that me and you have done for a long, long time in our career. But people are so happy to finally get a client that they don't care what they're signing them up for. You want to get 2 sessions. You're going to do 1 session this month and then a session next month. Come on, man. You're
Right.
not you're not doing that guy any good, and you're not doing yourself any good.
Yeah.
You have to dictate to people what it is they need, and you have to stand your ground. You can't just walk it back to the point where someone's picking up 7 half-hour sessions to use over the next 4 months. It's like, come on, that's not even going to help this person.
Like I have one woman, actually 2, but they came on and they were very adamant about only wanting to work once a week. I said, I don't do that. I said, the only thing that's going to happen is that when we work for that hour, it's going to be those same movements for the first 4 weeks. And you're just going to be practicing those movements. I'm not writing you anything else. You're going to be doing those same movements because that's what you need. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. You're just going to be doing the same workout, and it's going to get real boring. And they're like, yeah, that'll be fine. And I have them doing it. They're seeing great success. One of them is like, stepping up onto a bench. She never thought she'd step up onto a bench at whatever age years old. And she's stepping up without any assistance. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, so when are we doing the next stuff? I'm like, we're not. Like, you're going to continue doing this till you master it. I'm here to make sure you're doing it every week. We will be doing this for about 8 weeks. If we were twice a week, it'd be different. I could shorten our time, but this is what it is. Like, I was very firm in how the timeline was going to go. It's going to be repetitive. It's very boring. You just got to show up and keep doing it. I'm just here to make sure you are.
No, you know how I feel about boring workouts.
Literally have a brand named after it.
The boring fitness coach. Big fan of. We're just going to do the
Yeah.
things that work. Like let's not mess around with it. But they do that's very important. I had what was it?
Sorry. Go on.
I had a client that's something relatively similar, who ended up actually has been a pretty good success story. Came in, only could afford training 1 time a week, needed a lot of help, had just gotten a bariatric surgery where she got her stomach essentially made smaller. Just a bleeding heart sometimes. And we worked with this person, gave her some cardio to do, and we just drilled the same stuff on repeat for months. And well, now 2-3 years later, she's working out on her own. She still trains with me one time a week, does online coaching and everything, and has her own workout program, goes to the gym, kills it. It's kind of funny. She went from the person that was scared of the gym is now like kind of talking crap about Planet Fitness all the time. That's where she works out. She's like, God, these guys don't know how to work out, Ryan. You need to get over there and tell these people how to do things.
Love that.
It's just kind of cool the transition that's kind of happened with that person. Yeah.
Yeah. The last part I was gonna say, I know I said already the last part, but here's the last fleeting point because we are coming up on that hour. For those trainers who are in that first assessment and new, a big part, and I'm actually working with another trainer on this, is to define training for yourself of what it is. Because if you hold true to your value and people see that your principles, if you are strong in your principles and your markers, like who you are as a trainer, then they will read that. And that can also help you kind of decide, when you get to a full schedule or, even at the beginning, if you're just like, I'm nervous. This person has a double hip replacement. This is actually a situation I'm in. This woman had a dual hip replacement and she's got a bad knee. And one of my other younger trainers was offered the assessment and lead in the doorway, and he goes, "Oh, this is Tyler. He's our best trainer," and passed it off. And I just, I dove into him. I was like, "Why'd you do that?" He's like, "Well, I've never worked with somebody who has dual hip replacement." I'm like, "I probably haven't worked with somebody who has the same hip replacement she has, but I'm still going to do it." He goes, "Well, I'd love to sit in and see how you do the assessment." I just kind of like, "Hey, man, like, could you have worked with that person? Yes. Do you know how? Yes. Are you nervous? Yes. So what was it that kind of got you?" He's like, "Oh, I wouldn't know what movements." I'm like, "Okay, well, what movements are you good at?" And he just kind of went on, and I was like, "Okay, before we get any further, how do you define yourself as a trainer?" He goes, "Well, I get people to work out and get results." I was like, "Let me give you an example. This is mine. I'm a posture correction specialist." And very, very bland, very basic. But when somebody asks me like, "Oh, you're a personal trainer. What do you do?" "I'm a posture correction specialist." Like, what does that mean? Well, I get somebody to move correctly. I make sure that they're anatomically moving correctly and they have good symmetry with their body, that things are in place. And then I give them workouts to help with their program. That is my first point. That's how I operate as a trainer. And he was like, "Huh." I was like, "You could be the guy who's like, I kick people's ass." There's trainers out there. Like, what do you do? I just kick people's ass. Like, I don't really care about symmetry. I'm the Josh Peltz dude. Just like, I fucking throw brutal workouts. People come in, they love me, they love my energy. Like, this is just badass. He gets results. He's damn good at what he does. When he needs somebody with posture correction, he should send somebody to Eric or me, or send him to Anthony to go get a massage. Like, he would send him away. Like, for me, when somebody goes, "I want weight loss," I'm like, "What nutrition coach are you working with?" Like, that's not my field. Let me get you set up with somebody and we can work on, your posture and how you move and get your legs moving better so you can actually walk more and do the results.
Yeah.
So I think
Being
that's
willing to send people out for the things that you're not necessarily good at, but be willing to learn the things that you're not necessarily good at too. Because yeah, you absolutely hit the nail on the head with that. To be like, when trainers lose confidence, a lot of times they either just send people out because, oh, I just don't know. Well, all right, what's that going to fix? You're not going to get better. You're just going to stay some dude that works people out, which, God, that definition of being a trainer irks me somewhere deep. Deep. It's a deep burn.
he's been struggling a lot. He's had a very doubt in his profession. And I'm just like, man, like, this is the guy I took out to a lunch last week and was like, I looked at him, I was like, "So when you look at me, what do you see?" He goes, "You're like you're like our top tier trainer. I'm like, and how am I dressed? I'm shaved. My hair is done. If my hair is not done, I'm wearing a hat. I'm always wearing my t-shirt. My slacks are well done. There's no stains on my shorts. I have good shoes on. Like, and I was like, look at yourself right now and give me the clear image. He goes, I look like shit. I'm like, yeah. He's sorry to be brutally honest, but he's like, I was like, dude, like, you got long hair, put it in a ponytail. Make sure it's combed. Shave your beard down. Make sure you have clean shave. Come in with the Bay Club shirt, not just some random blue shirt. Like, I gave him like a very critique. And the good thing is, this guy, he takes cues and he actually puts them into practice.
That's huge.
Like, that's huge. And I was like, you're going to see great success. I'm like, if you want to get a sleeveless Bay Club t-shirt to show your arms, you got freaking great legs, like wear shorts. Don't wear sweats. Don't wear slacks. Wear some freaking high-waisted 5-inch seams. Like, be a big dude at the gym like you are. That's who you need to be. Don't wear gray slacks or black slacks because I do. Do your own thing.
I think the takeaway from that is to own your identity as a trainer and understand what your identity as a trainer is. If you're the big, yoked guy in the gym that everyone's going to know, benches 500 pounds, like you're that guy.
Yeah.
Own it, but be a professional version of whatever that is. Because there's always that critique that we can give ourselves, but okay. Is there any last little closing remarks that you want to add on to this before we end up putting a nice little bow on this thing?
Don't walk around with a coffee mug in your assessment.
I don't know about that one. I'm notorious. That is, I don't care how long I'm a trainer. If I have a coffee mug in my hand, it's coming with me as I go through the session. I'm sorry.
That was a personal attack. it used to be that or your big water jug.
Yep. I have 3 things on me when I train. My phone is in my pocket. I have my tablet, and I have a coffee mug, which is almost always this one. It is with me everywhere. It does not matter. Does Ryan have his tablet on? Yeah, he probably does. Where is it? It's probably 100%. Somewhere. All right, let's wrap it on up. Tyler's shot aside, and my fragile ego. When you're a new trainer, when you're struggling, you're in that 6 months, or you're just someone that wants to get a little bit better at sales or closing with getting new clients, because as negative a connotation as sales have, at the end of the day, we actually have to get people to want to work with us so we can help them. So you do need to actually be good at sales if you want to help the most amount of people. Some of the ways that you can do that is to create structure, like we talked about here in this kind of 3-part series. Having some structure allows you to figure out what's not working and make tweaks to things to get yourself closer to where you need to be. Beyond that, present yourself with an air of professionalism and be vulnerable. Be open with people. Don't be afraid to put your hands on your clients to adjust them and codify yourself as a professional. But, ask permission before you just put your hands on some lady. Don't be that guy. But practice your closing, practice your arguments, what you're going to have to overcome, and don't be afraid to ask someone in your club that's doing better than you, hey, what can I do? Where am I failing? Do I look like shit? Honestly, have those conversations and be in an open enough place to learn, because we're just trying to get better. And that's the name of the game. All right, folks, this has been our 6-month trainer flop. Took us a little while to get all this done, but we'll be on to our regular scheduled programming with some guests coming up. We appreciate you guys. We're out every Friday, and we'll catch you guys here in the next one. Appreciate you. Cheers.